Giant Trance has been one of Australia's most popular trail bikes for yonks now. A good mix of versatile geometry, on-point spec choices and some very competitive pricing have all ensured that it stayed at the top of the game. So what is new for 2017? Well, of course, like most bikes out there, it got the longer, slacker, lower treatment, making it a little bit more aggressive. It also got a trunnion mounted rear shock, and a carbon link is now found on all of the Trance models throughout the entire range. We've been on this bike for a couple of months now. What do we think of it? Is it a bit of a quiver killer? Yeah, we think so. It's a very versatile bike, and in our mind it is the absolute pick of the bunch out of all of Giant's range, covering a very wide range of abilities. The value for money side of things is very good. The Carbon Trance Advanced gives the wallet a rattle at around $5,799, which makes it very competitive, even against a number of the direct-to-consumer brands that are out there, especially when you consider that it's rolling on carbon wheels. It also makes it hard to justify the extra $2,500 to move up to the Trance Advanced Zero. There are no wheel size options with this bike, it's 275 only. We can't help but thinking that a 2.9er version of this bike, with all the updated geometry and frame features found on most 29er trail bikes, would be a pretty cool beast. So let's see if that ever happens. Out on the trail, the highlights of this bike, well, it's hard to put your finger on just one thing because the handling overall is fantastic. It's a bike that's really going to fit 90% of the situations you're ever going to encounter, and do so very confidently. You can tell this bike has been evolving for a long time, and it's just very comfortable in its own skin. As much as we talk about 29-inch wheels, it's hard to deny how much fun a 275 bike can be, and it just loves to blast into things, jumping blindly into sections, flicking about the trail. It gives you the confidence to make some last-minute decisions that you might regret on other bikes. The suppleness of the rear suspension is exceptional too. It is velvety smooth off the top of the stroke, and a lot of riders are going to love that comfort and control. We did find it a little bit soggy if the shock was left in the fully open position, so our preferred setup was to flick the little black open mode dial into number 2, just to give it a little bit more support without impinging too much on the small bump performance. In terms of issues with the bike, well, the seat post rattles around like an old tin can, which is a bit distracting, and the XT drivetrain is kind of grindy when you're in some of the bigger cogs out back. But the rear tyre was the thing that gave us the most trouble. It was cut up like an onion by the end of it all. We don't think it's tough enough for riding in really rocky trails, and it lets the bike down otherwise. Should this bike be on your shortlist if you're looking for a trail bike? Well, if you know that you want 27.5 wheels versus a 29er, yeah, then this one should be on the list. Giant were certainly at risk of losing their Kings of Value title with so many really competitive bikes on the market now, but they have really done well with this bike. We think it is the absolute pick of the entire Giant range, really, when it comes to versatility and value for money as well. It's a very willing bike, it's an agile bike, it'll happily climb and descend all day, and if you put a set of tyres on it, they're a little bit tougher and up to the level of punishment that this bike begs for, you're going to be very happy.